One of the things fish keepers say you have to have is a filter, but that's not necessarily true. This is one of my aquariums and it doesn't need a filter anymore, believe it or not. And guess what? Yours might not either.
There's a couple reasons why, and having no filter can obviously help the electrical bill and the aesthetic of the tank.
Look at this tank, and this tank, and even this tank. They are all filterless and have something in common. There are also a couple ways you can set up a tank so it doesn't have to be filtered, which we will discuss later on in the video, and those methods are allowing me to remove my filter from this aquarium forever.
Now, the idea of turning my planted aquarium filterless struck me was when I looked at the filter and I actually saw it was barely working. At that point I realized, hey, the wood is barely being moved around and only just one little section of the tank. Then if I just take it out, it shouldn't make a difference because there's enough beneficial bacteria in the substrate and there's plenty of plants to filter the water for the fish. And the thing the three fish tanks have in common is, you guessed it, a massive amount of aquarium plants.
Alright, so the whole concept of a no filter aquarium is basically all got to do with the aquarium plants. The aquarium plants are super crucial, and that's what's actually filtering your aquarium. So the way we can have the plants filter for all the fish's waste and help lower the nitrates, well, simply just make sure you have a ton of plants and you keep your tank understocked. That's the main principles of a no filter aquarium. And one of your key focuses should be trying to keep those plants alive and growing as healthily and as fast as they can.
If you want to go the filterless route and you think you have enough plants in the tank, turn your filter off for a couple days and up to a week and test the water regularly. If all the parameters are stable, no more filter is needed.
And if you think you've got enough plants to filter your aquarium for your fish, then here's how to safely remove the filter permanently from your aquarium. Alright, now what if you want to actually set up your own no filter aquarium? From the beginning, you don't have to have a filter at all, which definitely does take away the cost of having to buy one, and it can be very expensive for lots of aquascapes. But if you're heavily planted in your tank, you don't need one. But here's a couple steps to take. Basically a way you can set up an aquarium and it doesn't have to be filtered that way, but this is just basically main principles that you have to make sure you have in your tank to make sure you have success and your fish don't die. Let's get into the easy tips you can take so you can set up your own no filter aquarium. Now the first principle is all about the substrate. Okay, that's hurting my eyes. Alright, that's better. Anyway, back to substrate. Basically, you want to make sure if you're going to have like sand or gravel, that you have a nutrient layer below the actual decorative substrate. So basically what we can use is either organic potting mix, any organic potting soil works fine as nutrients for the plants and is safe for aquariums, and aqua soil is much pricier but it does work a lot better. You can have an aquasoil only substrate as well, or you have the Wallstad method substrate, which is to have the dirt below the sand or the gravel, whatever you're using. In this tank I'm using sand, so I've actually got aquasoil bags underneath the sand, and you can do more research into Wallstad style planted tanks. So that's the first principle for setting up your no filter aquarium.
Step 2 is planting the tank. Have the plants arranged from shortest at the front to tallest at the back for visual and aesthetic purposes, and use a mix of fast, medium and slow growing plants, all recommended to be low light and beginner friendly. Step 3 is to add any decorations or decor if you want, and then fill up the tank. Add a single or couple fish or shrimp straight away to start the nitrogen cycle and feed them regularly to help the good bacteria in the tank grow. Test your water every day or as much as possible, and do a 50% water change every week for a month.
And so when your aquarium water reads the preferred pH for the fish and the livestock you're getting, and there's 0 parts per million of ammonia, 0 parts per million of nitrite, and anywhere between 5 to 20 parts per million of nitrate. And at that point of time, you can slowly add fish or shrimp every week and keep an eye on the fish and the shrimp to make sure there's no problems. And if there is, test the water and find out what the cause is, fix it. It's just like any aquarium, even with a filter, and your fish should get along and live off the rest of their life.
Here's some extra tips. Pile up some gravel or stones at the back of the tank for beneficial bacteria and squeeze all the gunk out of the filter into the tank. And having a terrestrial plant grow out of the aquarium really helps, although do more research on what type of plants are better in low lighting, no filter environments, etc., and how dirted tanks work. But this video was more to open you to the gates of no filter aquariums.
And after all this, if you are interested in setting up your own no filter aquarium, then check out this video right here, which is how I set up the aquarium that's going filterless now. And if I knew all this from the beginning, I could have had no filter in there at all. I do recommend checking it out, enjoy it, and have an awesome day.